Today's makeup challenge is Scarlet Witch, the last day in the 14-day makeup challenge, which I started literally last year. But you know what? I'm really proud of myself for even finishing this series. I was very close to giving up because I had these 2 weeks where I was like, yes, I can do makeup every single day and make this an actual 14-day makeup challenge. And then I think about like 3 days in, I burnt out and I was like, oh God, what was I thinking? And now I've already announced it to everyone, so I was like, I need to hold myself accountable. I didn't even know that Scarlet Witch was the same character as Wanda in WandaVision, but Scarlet Witch has a very, very intense color scheme. As you can see, I kind of already did half of the makeup, but I wanted to show you how I do the rest of the makeup at the outside of my face. So let's break down the design that we have so far and what we have left to do. You got 2 main colors, black and red. In the poster, she's got a lot of symbols all around her. Whatever she does, she always like does her little fancy magic thingy, and then boom, there's a symbol, boom, there's a symbol, and then boom, there's magic happening. Sorcery. So I wanted to play on portals, so shapes of diamonds and triangles, and this diamond is actually kind of my signature shape and I haven't used it in a very long time, so I was like, let's bring it back for the finale. The hard part is I did make this symmetrical, so I'm really hoping that these lines will look miraculously the same on both sides. I wanted to look really glowy, so I started by using an illuminator primer. And what it does is it just kind of makes your face a little bit shiny but moisturized, and then it dries so that when you put on your foundation and you put on your concealer, you look like you have this like internal dewy glow. Then I went really intense on my eyeshadow primer by using a very light color, and that's just supposed to help you put on pigments. So if I had just put on this red as an eyeshadow on my eyes without any primer, it would have just gotten dulled out. Someone had asked me in a comment somewhere, is it okay if I use like water activated paints instead of like a cream paint to use as a primer? No, you do need a cream because a water activated paint is going to dry and then it's not going to move, it's not going to budge. So anything you put on top of that is just not going to stick. However, if you put like an oily or a creamy base and then you put powder on top of it, the powder is going to stick on very nicely and end up like this. I ended up also adding some eyeshadow on the, I don't even know what this area is called. This area, what is this area called? Can you comment below and tell me what this is called? And then I'm taking the same eyeshadow palette and adding a very intense blush just around here because I'm going to be doing a diamond look around this, so half of this blush is going to be cut out. I'm going to add some blush also onto my nose, then go in with some highlights for my brow bone, for the inner corners of my eyes, just to brighten the whole look up. Before you do the rhinestones, you want to add a triangle. I'm using a water-activated red paint. And finally, we're going to add some rhinestones and some gems around this area that I don't know what the name of. Now we can get to the actual diamond part, which is the fun part about Scarlet Witch. Let's go! I think I forgot to record everything I just talked about. Cool. Anywho, what I did was I put a dot right here to mark the center and then put a dot over here to mark the center up here. My beauty mark kind of makes it hard for me to figure out where the center is, so I kind of have to cover it. What I'm going to do is take this brush, take the Flash Color palette, I'm using Makeup Forever, and just need to bring this in a little bit. I put too much black, but it's okay. Let's do the bottom part. Nice. Now I'm gonna connect this down here. Yeah! And she's still recording. Woohoo! We're making moves, guys. Look at that. Look at that. Look at how I did that. The wrong angle. We'll fix it. We'll fix it. Okay, perfect. Just taking a bigger brush, putting more black on. I'm gonna cover this whole area with black. I think one of the biggest struggles I have as a makeup artist or makeup designer, whatever you want to call me, who does social media full time, is I tend to need to do one thing or another. Because most of the time I'm doing like full face looks, so it's really hard for me to concentrate on making my lines straight and thinking about the next thing I'm going to be doing. Frankly, you know, as I do my makeup, it's kind of the time that I use to think. One thing I've discovered is that as I do my makeup, I have a lot of stories that float around in my head, a lot of thoughts, and generally I'm a visual thinker, but I really enjoy writing spoken word or beautiful pieces of prose. As you know, my channel has now been filled with a lot of story times, and I didn't realize how much people would really resonate with a lot of the stories that I tell. And I think I also grew up thinking that my stories were boring. You know, I'm kind of a chatterbox, and I think a lot of people have told me, or at least shown me non-verbally, that sometimes I don't know how to shut up. And it really translates to how I I feel about my own channel here. I think as a social media creator, we do look at metrics quite often. Shorts are only like a minute long, so the watch time is really good on that, but then when I post longer videos, more than like 10 minutes, it tends to get really low watch time. So as a strategical person I'm like, okay, people do not care what I'm talking about, they do not care what I am doing, and I just started cutting down things. I have this feeling that people are just not interested in what I have to say, or what I have to say is not important enough. And I think that's just something I have been dealing with since I was a kid, just feeling like I'm saying a bunch of things but nothing at all. So one of the goals I have for this channel as it continues to grow and as I continue to build a really engaged follower base and I can talk to you guys through my videos is to be able to use my long form videos as a way to kind of just say my thoughts. I just hope you guys are interested in what I have to say. Because having this fear and kind of this almost social media anxiety, it's like social anxiety but social media anxiety, it's a roadblock to me being able to create really in-depth content and conversations with you guys. Someone in one of my previous videos had mentioned critique of my channel that my long form videos don't deliver any more value than my shorts do, and that was, you know, initially very hurtful to hear, but it was like such a kick in the butt that I truly needed, because it was true. Things that I was trying to do educationally was not educational enough, because I just thought, okay, majority of the people who are watching this aren't actually interested in makeup, they're just interested in my personality, so just show little bits of my personality and then the rest of the time power through a time lapse of makeup so the people who want to watch the makeup, they can kind of just get it. Like, I don't really need to talk about the products. I don't have to make any recommendations. I don't have to talk about any technique because that's just boring. It's not something that you would be using every day as a skill because I'm literally painting my face like an art piece. Then it's not ASMR-y enough because I'm not doing like cinematic shots or anything, and so I started cutting out the time lapses because I was like, well, people are not really interested in watching the entire time lapse. They just want to see me talk. So let's just cut out all the time lapses in between and just only cut to the parts where I'm talking so I can show my personality. But then I use those small clips and put them into a 1 minute short, and then all of a sudden that short blows up, and then the rest of my video is kind of like all the parts that you didn't want on your plate of food, and now you're like, okay, now I have to eat it because I don't want to waste the food. And I feel like that's almost like how I treated my long form videos, to be like, I spent so much time on it, but I put the most interesting parts in my shorts, and then I ended up not actually delivering any value to you guys, and that was my bad. That was an oversight on my part, and that was something that I was trying to figure out. One unforeseen challenge as I was speaking is that I ended up making this diamond so small, unless I like go like this and cut off half of my eye makeup, it's not going to be a perfect diamond. And so this is where I have to kind of improvise, and I don't want to cut off the makeup that I've already done because I like it. Generally, if I was doing this from scratch, I would have done this diamond first so that I could kind of make use of whatever space is left to do what I needed to do. But since we're doing things kind of in reverse right now, that's totally fine. I think for this area, after I powder, I'm going to add some gems to kind of cover up this space. And so this whole area will be covered up eventually by something, probably by jewels. We'll figure it out. We'll make it avant garde. It's fun. This is fun. Okay, now that I have actually set my face, I'm going to start with the actual design. Usually I go for the Snazaroo face paint palette, but today I'm going to try the new Makeup Revolution graphic liners, and I like the consistency of it, so hopefully it'll be pigmented enough to show up on my skin. I think that this product is drying in patches, and so it's kind of making it difficult for me to do my design in a consistent way. So I'm going to have to say goodbye to this product, and I'm going to go grab my face paint. I'm going to use my Snazaroo face paint, which I literally use for all my looks. Okay, let's save this. This is just not looking good, guys. Okay, so much better. Hey, at least it was like a good way to trace my design. That does happen sometimes when I'm doing new looks with new products, like never used before. It can be a challenge in itself. Okay, the part that I always have trouble with translating my designs from my face chart onto my face is the cheeks area, because when I'm designing my face chart, I can only accommodate for what it looks like from the front on. So I draw all these intricate designs, but then when I have to do it on my face, I actually have to turn to the side and translate that design into a longer surface area. And sometimes it looks a little bit too simplistic, so I end up adding squigglies in there just to make things a little bit more intricate. Oh, my elbow's getting sore. I'm done with this area. I just want to make sure that this is now blended in. So I'm taking the same colors that I used for my eyes, and I'm gonna be blending this area out. Okay, I'm gonna add some gems here, some eyeliner, and I think that should be it. I do not recommend doing what I'm doing right now because it might rip your eyebrows off a little bit. Let's put on some eyeliner. Ugh! Wait for it to dry. Falsies. You know, I want to go more intense on the blush, actually.
Oh, what if I put some red gloves on?
Yes! This is the final look. Thank you so much for following this series. I'm sorry it took so long to finish. If you haven't seen my other series, then check out this one where I react to Hunger Games and the costume and makeup design. Or if that's not your cup of tea, then check out this one where I create a fake editorial ad. As usual, stay creative, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye! I'm really digging the eyebrows. Woohoo!